Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, world changers and light bearers, today I want you to lean in and hear me with your heart, not just your ears. There's a truth that many of us carry deep in our bones, even if we don't always say it out loud. We're tired. Tired of constantly giving, constantly showing up, constantly being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who never misses a beat. And yet in the midst of all that giving, we often forget the one person who needs us the most, ourselves. You see, we live in a world that celebrates self-sacrifice. A world that praises you for how much you do for others, how available you are, how much of yourself you're willing to pour out. But here's the thing, you can only pour so much before your cup runs dry. And I want to tell you today, with love and truth in every word, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't keep giving love if you don't have any left for yourself. You can't keep encouraging everyone else while you neglect the voice in your own head that's screaming for attention. You can't keep lighting up the room when your own light is dimmed to a flicker. And you certainly can't continue being everyone else's strength when you've forgotten what it feels like to be strong for you. This is where burnout is born. Not just physical exhaustion, but soul fatigue. That kind of deep weariness that no nap, no vacation, no quick fix can heal. Because it's not just about rest, it's about restoration. It's about coming back to yourself, reconnecting with your worth, remembering that you are not just a vessel for other people's needs. You are a human being with your own dreams, desires, fears, and needs, and those needs matter. Now, let me be real with you. Some of us learn to put ourselves last from a very young age. Maybe you grew up in a household where being selfless was expected. Maybe you were the peacemaker, the caregiver, the fixer. Maybe you got the message that loving yourself was arrogant, that taking time for yourself was selfish, and so you learned to shrink, to hide, to give, to overfunction. And now, years later, you've built a life where everyone depends on you, but you don't even know how to depend on you anymore. But here's what I need you to hear. Loving yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. It is not indulgent to prioritize your mental health. It is not wrong to say, I need time, or I'm not available right now, or I have to take care of me first. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's sustainability. That's self-respect. Let me ask you this. If your best friend was running on E, would you tell them to just keep pushing through? If your child was exhausted, would you tell them their needs don't matter? No, you wouldn't. You'd tell them to rest. You'd tell them to take care of themselves. You'd remind them that their well-being is important. So why don't you do the same for yourself? We are so good at giving grace to others. But loving yourself means giving that grace to you. It means learning how to check in with yourself, to ask, how am I really doing today? And then to actually listen to the answer. It means acknowledging when you're stretched too thin and being bold enough to pull back. It means choosing to protect your energy, not just from others, but sometimes from your own overcommitment. You were not put on this earth just to serve. You were put here to live, to feel joy, to experience connection, to grow, to thrive. And in order to do all of that, you've got to fill your own cup first. Fill it with love. Fill it with compassion. Fill it with truth. Fill it with rest. Fill it with boundaries. Fill it with forgiveness. And once that cup starts to overflow, oh, that's when your love becomes powerful. That's when your giving becomes sustainable. That's when your light becomes undeniable. Because when your cup is full, you don't just give to others, you inspire them. You become a living example of what self-love looks like. You teach your children, your friends, your coworkers, your community that it's not only okay to love yourself, it's necessary. So the next time you feel guilty for taking time for you, remember this. You are not abandoning others by loving yourself. You are empowering them. Because your healing, your joy, your peace, it ripples. And when your cup is full, the overflow becomes a gift. But the filling, that's for you. That's your sacred responsibility. Fill your cup, my friend. Let it overflow. And watch how your love transforms, not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. There comes a moment in your journey, maybe more than one, when you have to do something that sounds so simple but feels like the hardest thing in the world. You've got to stand in front of the mirror and look. Not just glance. Not just fix your hair or your outfit. Not just make sure your smile is okay. No. I mean, really look past the surface, past the performance, past the masks. Look into your own eyes and face you. That mirror is more than glass. It's a window into your truth. And when you choose to stand there, soul naked and raw, and say, I love you, not because you've reached some goal or fixed every flaw, but because you're finally ready to accept all of yourself, that's when the real work begins. Because loving yourself isn't always soft and pretty. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's a full-blown confrontation. You've got to face the stories you've told yourself for years. The quiet shame, the loud self-judgment, the buried wound, the false beliefs like, I'm not enough, I'm too broken, no one will really love me if they knew the real me. You face the mirror and it doesn't lie. And neither should you. See, the world teaches us how to pose, how to perform, how to be polished. But the mirror, your mirror asks for something different. It asks for presence. It asks for truth. It asks for you to look into your own eyes and say, this is me, the real me, and I deserve my own love. Even the parts you've been trying to hide, even the mistakes you've made, even the parts of your past that still carry a sting, especially those parts. Because here's the secret nobody tells you. Self-love starts where self-judgment ends. You cannot love what you keep rejecting. You can't embrace the wholeness of who you are while still trying to cut out the pieces that don't fit some impossible image of perfection. The mirror is where you meet your truth, not your fantasy. It's where you say, yes, I've been hurt. Yes, I've messed up. Yes, I've got fears and insecurities. But I'm still worthy, still beautiful, still deserving of love. And the more you do it, the more you show up day after day. With honesty and compassion for yourself, something powerful begins to shift. You stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you matter. You stop seeking validation from people who can't even give it to themselves. You stop chasing approval like it's oxygen and realize you already have everything you need inside of you. But you've got to see it. And that's what facing the mirror does. It puts you back in touch with the one relationship that influences every other one you'll ever have. The relationship with you. Because how can you expect someone else to love you deeply if you're still hesitant to love yourself fully? How can you ask someone to be gentle with your heart if you're still being harsh with your own reflection? This isn't about ego. This isn't about arrogance. This is about radical self-acceptance, about looking at your own face, bare, unfiltered, and whispering, I got you. About seeing not just your wins, but your wounds, and loving both. And I'm not saying this is easy. Some days the mirror will reflect things you're not ready to face. Old pain, breathe. That inner critic that whispers lies when you're tired or vulnerable. But on those days, I want you to lean in even closer and speak louder than the lies. Tell that reflection, I am not my past. I am not my failures. I am not my fears. I am love. I am becoming. I am healing. This is how we break cycles. This is how we undo generations of silence and shame. This is how we reclaim our own narrative. By choosing every day to face the mirror and speak truth to ourselves. You don't need fixing. You need embracing. You need someone to look at you and say, you're doing better than you think, and that someone is you. You get to love yourself now, not later. Not when you've lost the weight. Not when you've earned more. Not when you've proven something to someone else. Now, exactly as you are. Because that version of you, the one standing in front of the mirror with a tender heart and a hopeful spirit, that version is already enough. So today, I invite you to stand in that sacred space, look into your own eyes and say, I see you, I honor you, and I love you. Not just because you're becoming, but because even in your becoming, you're already worthy. That mirror does love. Start there. Start now. Start with you. Would you like the next key point expanded as well? Or want this turned into an audio-visual post with voiceover and music? At some point in your life, someone somewhere, maybe knowingly, maybe out of their own pain, told you a story. It might not have been said directly. It could have come through a look, a dismissal, a broken promise, a comparison, a silence that lasted too long. And the story was this: you're not enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not strong enough, not talented enough, not lovable enough. And over time, that story rooted itself deep inside. It became the soundtrack of your inner world. It shaped your confidence, your choices, your relationships, your boundaries, or lack of them. You started seeing your life through the lens of lack, questioning yourself, doubting your voice, second-guessing your instincts. Even when you succeeded, you felt like it wasn't quite real. Like at any moment, someone would find out you were faking it. Because the story kept whispering, you only got lucky. You'll mess it up eventually. So don't try too hard, because you're not enough to make it last. But let me tell you something with every ounce of love I have in me. That story is a lie. It's not your truth. It's not your identity. And it certainly isn't your destiny. That story didn't start with you, and it doesn't have to end with you. You are the author now. You hold the pen, and it's time to rewrite the story. Rewriting the story means you stop repeating old narratives just because they're familiar. It means you stop shrinking so other people feel comfortable. It means you get honest with yourself about where those beliefs came from, and then you challenge them. Who told you that you're not enough? Whose voice is still echoing in your head even though they left years ago? Was it a parent who was too broken to see your beauty? Was it a teacher who overlooked your brilliance? A partner who mistook your vulnerability for weakness? Understand this. Their voice does not define your value, and your past does not get to dictate your future unless you let it. You have the right to stop the cycle. You have the right to choose a new narrative, one that's rooted in truth, not trauma, one that affirms your value instead of questioning it. Because you are not broken, you are not a mistake, you are not behind, you are not too late, you are becoming. You are evolving. You are learning to love yourself loudly, fearlessly, and unapologetically. And yes, rewriting the story takes work. It takes awareness. You've got to catch yourself in the act of self-sabotage. You've got to notice when your inner critic starts speaking louder than your inner truth. It takes courage, because sometimes rewriting your story means letting go of people who are only comfortable with the version of you who stayed small. It takes compassion. You have to love yourself through the growing pains, through the days when healing feels heavy, through the moments when the old story tries to creep back in and pull you under. But most of all, it takes repetition. New stories need to be repeated until they become your default, just like the old ones were. So speak them out loud, every day, even when you don't fully believe them yet. Say, I'm enough just as I am. My voice matters. I deserve to be seen, heard, and loved. I am not defined by what I've been through. I am defined by what I choose next. Say it until your spirit starts to believe it. Say it until it becomes your new normal. And then say it until the old story no longer fits like a coat you've outgrown. And then, when you walk into rooms, you won't need to prove yourself. You'll just bring your presence. When you enter relationships, you won't try to earn love. You'll receive it because you already know you're worthy of it. When you face challenges, you won't crumble. You'll rise because the story you now tell yourself is one of power, possibility, and purpose. This is the gift of rewriting your story. You don't just change your mindset. You change your energy. You change what you attract. You change how you walk, how you talk, how you live. So today I dare you, pick up the pen, write a new story where you are the hero, the healer, the creator of your life. A story where you don't just survive, you thrive, you love, you lead. And most of all, a story where you wake up every day and know without a doubt, you have always been enough. There comes a time when your peace matters more than people's opinions. When your well-being, your energy, and your inner calm are more important than being liked, being available, or being nice. And that's the moment you start to understand the true power of boundaries. But let's get real. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you spent years saying yes up when you really meant a no. If you were raised to be agreeable, accommodating, or always available, then boundaries might feel like rejection. You might even feel guilty for putting yourself first. But I'm here to tell you something that might just free you. Setting boundaries is not mean, it's necessary. Boundaries are an act of love, not just for others, but for yourself. You're not being disrespectful when you say, I need time. You're not being rude when you say, that doesn't work for me. You're not being selfish when you say a no. What you're doing is honoring your own needs. And baby, if you don't honor them, nobody else will. For too long, many of us have been taught to believe that love means overextending ourselves, that kindness means self-sacrifice, that strength means being everything to everyone all the time. But the truth is, that's not strength, that's survival. And survival mode is not a place to live long term. It's a signal that something needs to change. Setting boundaries is how you move from survival to self-respect. It's how you stop leaking energy into people, situations, and conversations that don't deserve access to your inner world. Because let's be honest, not everyone deserves all of you. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your story. Not everyone deserves your constant availability. And you know what? That's okay. You get to choose who enters your sacred space. You get to decide who gets your energy and when. That's not cold. That's clarity. Now, some people won't like your boundaries, especially if they benefited from your lack of them. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant now. They'll say you're not the same. And they're right. You have changed. You've grown. You've learned that your time is valuable. You've realized that your mental and emotional health are worth protecting. You finally stopped being the person who constantly pours into others while staying empty yourself. Let them be uncomfortable. That's their growth to do, not yours. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace. You don't owe guilt for putting your needs first. You don't owe your life to anyone who doesn't honor your heart. When you set a boundary, you're not closing a door. You're defining the space where love, respect, and honesty can thrive. You're creating room for what truly belongs in your life. And the beautiful part, boundaries don't push love away, they make it stronger. Because when you have clear boundaries, you teach others how to love you. You teach them how to show up for you. You teach them that you respect yourself, and you expect the same in return. And for those who are meant to be in your life, they'll honor your boundaries without question. They'll appreciate the clarity. They'll meet you where you are without asking you to shrink or bend or break just to keep them comfortable. But it starts with you, with deciding that you're worth protecting, that your time is sacred, that your peace is non-negotiable. You see, boundaries are not walls. Walls are built out of fear. Boundaries are built out of wisdom. They don't keep everything out. They just let the right things in. So take a breath. Give yourself permission. Start small if you need to. Say a no to one thing that doesn't serve you this week. Say yes to rest, to stillness, to space. And when the guilt shows up, and yes, it might greet it with love, but don't invite it to stay. That guilt is just a leftover feeling from an old version of you, a version that didn't know her power yet, a version that thought love had to be earned through exhaustion. But you're not that version anymore. You are worthy of love that doesn't cost you your sanity. You are worthy of peace that doesn't need to be explained. You are worthy of rest without having to prove how tired you are. So set the boundary, hold the line, and walk forward guilt-free, grounded, and glowing. Because protecting your peace isn't just a practice, it's a form of self-love. And you are worthy of that love every single day. There's something sacred about learning how to celebrate yourself. Not because someone else applauded you, not because you hit a milestone that others recognize, but because you see your own worth and you're done waiting for someone else to give you the green light to feel proud. Too often we wait. We wait for someone to say, I'm proud of you. We wait for the job title. We wait for the relationship. We wait for the perfect body, the perfect moment, the perfect outcome. And in the waiting, we forget that the very breath we're taking, the healing we're doing, the effort we're showing up with every single day is already worth celebrating. You don't need permission to clap for yourself. You don't need an audience to validate your progress. You are not a performance, you are a person who's rising, a person who's evolving, a person who's been through things that would have broken others, but you're still here. That alone is worth a standing ovation. Let's get this straight. Self-celebration is not arrogance, it's not ego. It's not a too much, it's recognition. It's gratitude. It's the highest form of saying, I matter. I count. I'm not invisible to me. When you celebrate yourself, you shift your energy. You stop living on crumbs of praise from others and start feasting on your own self-respect. You stop dimming your light just so others won't feel small. You start shining because that's what light was always meant to do. And you've got every reason to shine. Think of all the days you didn't quit, all the tears you wiped on your own shirt, all the dreams you kept alive in silence, all the ways you kept showing up even when no one noticed. That wasn't small. That was strength. That was growth. That was you choosing to move forward even when the path wasn't clear. So don't wait for someone to hand you flowers. Grow your own garden. Don't wait for someone to say, you're doing well. Tell yourself, I'm proud of me. I'm doing better than I think. I see myself. Because when you celebrate yourself, something magical happens. You stop needing external validation like oxygen. You become your own cheerleader, your own witness, your own source of joy. You begin to set a new standard for how others are allowed to treat you. You teach the world by example. This is how I love me. If you're coming into my life, match that energy or step aside. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you were taught to stay humble, to stay quiet, to let others shine while you stood in the back row. But baby, humility doesn't mean invisibility. It means knowing who you are and still choosing grace. It means acknowledging your power without apology. So go ahead and celebrate that progress. Celebrate the boundaries you're learning to set. Celebrate the healing that's taking place in quiet corners of your soul. Celebrate the fact that you are no longer who you used to be, and yet you are closer to the person you were born to become. Throw your own party. Speak your own praise. Toast to the fact that you've made it through 100% of your worst days, and you're still loving, still growing, still believing in better. Don't wait for applause. Be your own round of applause. And let's be honest, it's not about being loud or flashy. Self-celebration is an energy. It's the way you look in the mirror and smile at yourself for no reason. It's the way you take yourself out for coffee and call it a date. It's how you speak kindly to yourself in the morning. It's how you remind yourself that you are not defined by productivity, perfection, or praise. You are worthy just by being you. And every single time you affirm that, you build a deeper bond with yourself, a bond that doesn't break when others don't clap, a bond that says, even if no one else sees me, I do. You were never meant to be your own worst critic. You were meant to be your own greatest advocate. So take this moment right now and think of something, anything you've done lately that deserves to be celebrated, big or small, public or private, known or unseen. Then say it out loud. I'm proud of me. Say it again. I see how far I've come. Say it one more time. I will celebrate myself with joy, with no guilt. Because you're not waiting anymore. You're not shrinking anymore. You're not depending on someone else to tell you what you already know inside. You are worthy of your own celebration today, right now, exactly as you are. Let's talk about those days. You know the ones. The days when nothing feels good enough. When your energy is low, your heart feels heavy, and even brushing your teeth feels like an accomplishment. Those days when the voice in your head isn't kind. When it tells you that you're behind, that you're messing up, that you should be further along by now. Those are not the days you need to push harder. Those are the days you need to love yourself deeper. Because self-love is not just bath bombs and motivational quotes. It's not just affirmations and cute captions. Real self-love, it's how you talk to yourself when things are not going right. It's how you hold space for your humanity. It's how you stay on your own team, even when the world feels like it's falling apart. We live in a culture that glorifies hustle, perfection, and always a being on. But the truth is, you're a human being, not a machine. You will have ups and downs. You will have missteps. You will have days when your sparkle feels dim and your motivation goes missing. That's not weakness. That's not failure. That's life. And on those days, what you need most is not a lecture. It's compassion. You need to remind yourself, it's okay to not be okay. You need to speak softly to your soul like you would to a hurting child. I see you, baby. I know today is hard, but we're gonna get through it together. Self-compassion means you don't measure your worth by your productivity. It means you don't shame yourself for being tired. It means you give yourself grace, the same grace you so freely offer everyone else. Because when you're hurting, beating yourself up doesn't help you heal faster. In fact, it makes the wound deeper. But when you wrap your own heart in love, you begin to recover, you begin to breathe. You begin to come back to yourself little by little. And let me tell you, being gentle with yourself is one of the most radical things you can do, especially if you were raised to believe that love must be earned, especially if you've been taught to be strong all the time, especially if you've been your own worst critic for far too long. It's time to rewrite that inner dialogue, to stop treating yourself like a project that needs to be fixed and start treating yourself like a person that deserves to be loved. You are not broken because you're struggling. You are not lazy because you need rest. You are not failing because you're feeling. You are human, and that's a beautiful, complicated, miraculous thing to be. So when the hard days come, and they will, practice checking in with yourself instead of checking out. Ask, what do I need right now? Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's a cry. Maybe it's a snack, a nap, or a hug from yourself. Let that be enough. Let your own presence be enough. Self-compassion also means forgiving yourself, not just for the big things, but for the everyday stuff, for the goals you didn't reach, for the calls you didn't return, for the boundaries you're still learning to set, for the version of you that made mistakes before you knew better. That version of you wasn't weak. That version of you was doing the best they could with the tools they had at the time. So give them grace and give your current self permission to grow without guilt. Listen, life isn't about getting it perfect. It's about getting it honest. And honesty sounds like I'm not okay today, but I'm still worthy. I'm struggling, but I'm still showing up for myself. I'm tired, but I haven't given up on me. That's real power. That's what emotional freedom looks like. And the more you practice compassion toward yourself, the more resilient you become. Not because you'll never fall again, but because now you know how to catch yourself with kindness. So celebrate the wins, yes, but also celebrate the moments when you simply kept going, when you showed up, when you breathed through the pain, when you didn't abandon yourself. That's self-love on a soul level. You've spent enough time doubting, criticizing, and shaming yourself. It's time to do something radical, something brave, something healing. It's time to be gentle with you. You deserve that softness. You deserve that tenderness. You deserve to be met with love, especially from yourself, on the hardest of days. So if today's one of those days, pause, put your hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and whisper, I am still enough, even now, especially now. Because baby, your value was never tied to how well you perform. It was always rooted in who you are, and you are worthy.